Oh, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the late start. This is UncleClaude, of course, and we'll be talking about, and I really had hoped to come here earlier, and I know I was supposed to have started this probably about a month ago, but I wanted to make sure that everything was based, all my ducks were in a row, so to speak. So here we are now talking about the latest on the Deshaun Watson case. And it is funny because to me, it definitely looks like a witch hunt, ladies and gentlemen. But I am looking forward to when he actually has his day in court. Now, this particular report was from Pro Football Talk. And if you're familiar with them, that actually was part, if I'm not mistaken, of the NBC Sports DeFlorio and Chris Sims normally host that show. But while they talk about the lawsuit list growing to 19, now here they talk about 18 massage therapists with names attached because the list of the 19 ladies, their names are not attached to their lawsuits. Well, there's actually 21 women who have sued Deshaun Watson and have accused him of misconduct during massages. Now, today, 18 massage therapists who have worked with Watson issued comments regarding his behavior during massage sessions. All 18 have attached their names to their statements, which were provided to Pro Football Talk by Watson's lawyer, Rusty Hardin. The 18 massage therapists are Maya Roberson, Sarah Featherhoff, Kaylee Galdino, Masako Jones, Larita Danny Craig, Norma Reyna, Cam Nalisha Storm, Dr. Ariel Ball, Gaz Brooks, Ashley Thomas, Lawanda Howard, Nadia Lukman, Anna Compain, Rachel Martin, Joanne Brito, Tina Gwynn, and Kaya Hillman. The statements extend beyond vouching for Watson, however. Now some criticize and challenge the plaintiffs. Hey, I appreciate that, sweet chocolate candy. Thank you so much. And we did have a great day. Bless you. Said Robertson of Deshaun Watson. I started working with Deshaun in December 2019 after being referred to him by another therapist. He sent me a screenshot of a diagram that the head trainer of the Texans gave him, highlighting the muscles that needed to be worked on, which included the groin and hamstrings. He asked if I felt comfortable working on those areas, and I said yes, because I am used to working on athletes. During the massage, Deshaun was more comfortable using a towel than draping sheets over the table. This isn't unusual at all. I have several clients that prefer using a towel over sheets. We began using a towel, and that became the norm. When I saw that the first lawsuit mentioned a towel, I chuckled because I gave him that idea. And it's not inappropriate because they teach you in massage school that using a towel is okay. Some of these accusations are so ludicrous. I just can't see him doing any of those things. He was never inappropriate with me. I never felt threatened in any way. From Featheroff, on July 16th, 2020, I performed a very thorough massage on Deshaun, focusing on his lower back, hips, and groin at a home he was renting while visiting Los Angeles. He is one of the most professional athletes I ever worked on. When the session was over, Deshaun helped me put away my table and walked me to my car. Because it was already quite late, Deshaun texted me during my drive home to make sure I had gotten home safely. My experience was nothing like the plaintiffs are describing. I don't believe they are being truthful. From Galdino, I worked on Deshaun Watson several times from August to December in 2020. He was respectful in every session. I never had any issues with him being inappropriate. Focus areas requested were hip flexors, groins, adductors, glutes, hamstrings, quads, lower back, abdominals. These are common areas of strain with pro athletes, especially those who play his position. He was always hospitable and communicated to make sure I always felt comfortable and safe. Many people idolize Deshaun Watson and perceive him as a legend. However, in getting to know him, I know he's just your regular 25-year-old. From Jones, I have worked with Deshaun several times since October 2019, and he's never been anything other than professional and polite. We would focus on areas that were strained or injured: his shoulder, quads, calves, adductors, glutes, feet, things like that. That's not odd or inappropriate. You have to think about how athletes use their bodies, the stances they're in, how they move during games. All of those areas are typical, especially for football players. Deshaun never made me feel uncomfortable or intimidated. He's rather quiet compared to the other professional athletes I work with. I am just completely floored by these lawsuits. The behavior described in them does not sound like him at all. I can't even imagine him saying those things or doing them. From Craig, I massaged Deshaun 3 times. He was always pleasant. I never had any uncomfortable or inappropriate experiences with it. He often listened to his music and said very little. During my career, unfortunately, I have experienced inappropriate situations where I stopped the massage. This never happened with Deshaun. He was respectful to my craft. Deshaun specifically came to me requesting I work on his lower body. I worked his hamstrings, quadriceps, as well as his glutes and lower abs. Asking for these muscle groups to be massaged is not uncommon for athletes. Working those muscles from origin to insertion is imperative to properly treat the muscle. If a therapist is inexperienced in this type of work, I could imagine it may make them uncomfortable trying to translate the layman's suggestion on how to stop the discomfort. It is important for a therapist to ask through any request with the client to determine exactly what hurts, even as even the most educated person loses their anatomy knowledge when in pain. From Raina, I frequently observed Deshaun attending sessions with another therapist who works in the same building next door to me. I have never observed Deshaun acting in an inappropriate manner, and he never appeared to make anyone uncomfortable. He was always cordial when he walked by. Glutes, lower abs, psoas, and abductors are very common areas for athletes, both males and females, to request their therapist to work on. You must release the psoas and gluteal muscles to release tension in the lower back. Excuse me just one moment, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, J Truth, for welcoming Sweet Chocolate Candy to the channel. There's a proper and professional way to address this area with proper draping and communications. When working the abductors and groin pelvic area, it is not uncommon, to accidentally graze the penis, but you don't engage it. I teach my students to use a firmer touch or to move to a different area if a client gets aroused during a session, which sometimes happens. There's a professional way to deal with it. If a therapist feels uncomfortable at any time during the sessions, he or she has the ability to end the session and immediately file a complaint with the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations and vice versa. You don't get a lawyer and file a lawsuit or go to the news media. You file a complaint immediately. From Famayon, I first met Deshaun about 3 years ago. He was a regular of ours, and I worked on him twice. Both times a combo, Thai, and deep tissue massage. He wore boxers for both sessions. I found him to be very polite and respectful. I didn't even know he was a professional football player during my first appointment. Myself and my coworkers were really shocked to hear about the lawsuits and allegations because Deshaun never hinted at or did anything improper. From Storm, Deshaun first contacted me in February of this year by direct message on Instagram after he saw a flyer that I had posted. I have worked on him 2 times, and in both instances, he asked for a sports massage with a focus on his abs, abductors, thighs, and glutes. Each session lasted an hour, and he supplied the draping towel, which was the size of a beach towel. Deshaun was very respectful and professional towards me. He was also very quiet, listening to music on his phone. After each session, he thanked me and said he would be contacting me for another massage. From Dr. Ball, I worked with Deshaun several times in 2019 and 2020. He was very quiet during our sessions, often played his music and zoned out. Like most athletes, he requested that I focus on his hamstrings, abs, and adductors. He never made me uncomfortable and was always professional during our sessions. From Brooks, I began providing massage therapy to Deshaun in 2018. I have massaged him at least 40 times since then. I worked with him once or twice a week during the season and as needed during the off season. Early on, he said he wanted me to focus on his hamstrings. He had a trainer that worked on his upper body, and just to work and just to work the lactic acid out of his legs. This included the groin, glutes, and feet. He never asked me any questions and hardly ever spoke at all. In all that time, I never had a single uncomfortable or inappropriate experience with Deshaun. From Thomas, I first worked on Deshaun at a hotel in Houston in December of 2019 after reaching out to him on Instagram. I remember Clemson was in town that day for a football game, and Deshaun watched it during his session. Before the appointment, he laid out what he wanted in very clear terms. He was only interested in a professional massage. I worked on him 4 or 5 times total, the last time being in June 2020. He was always pretty quiet and never said anything but respectful. He was the sweetest guy. The sessions were very professional. He arrived, got his massage, and he left. I've never heard anything negative about him, and I was completely thrown off guard by the recent allegations. From Howard, I first met Deshaun about a year ago when he reached out on Instagram. I had 2 therapy sessions with him, both of which were uneventful. On the first, he was just concerned on his areas of concern and the pressure. He listened to music and scrolled on his phone on the second session. He was never inappropriate or did anything to make me feel uncomfortable. He asked that I focus on areas that are typical for athletes: glutes, hamstrings, quads, and groin. He was appropriately and properly draped with a towel, which is common with sports clients. Deshaun was respectful before, during, and after both visits. I am puzzled by the allegations in the lawsuits and in the media, as they are not consistent with Deshaun's character. From Lukeman. I massaged Deshaun on August 12, 2020 at my office in Houston. He asked me to pay attention to his glutes, hamstrings, and abductors. This was consistent with requests that I have received from other athletes I've worked with in the past. He was always respectful and quiet, and I never felt uncomfortable. From Compine, I first met Deshaun in 2017 at a spa where I worked, which he would visit once or twice a week. I worked on him 6 or 7 times over the next 3 years. He would always want his back, shoulder, and arms massaged, and he asked for a deep tissue massage and he asked for deep tissue massages as well. Deshaun was always draped during massages, and a couple of times he even asked for an extra towel because he was cold. He was completely covered. He never said much during the massage. He was very quiet. He would always say yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am. I've never had any problem with him, and I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Deshaun. From Martin, I massaged Deshaun 4 times at his house at the Houstonian. When we first met, he asked if I was comfortable with glutes, lower legs, and groin, and I said yes. As an athletic trainer, this was a normal request. Deshaun barely talked. He was super quiet and passive. He has been one of the easiest clients I have ever had. That's what makes these accusations against him so infuriating. Any licensed therapist knows that you may graze the penis during the course of the massage, and you are taught how to address it professionally. You are also taught that the therapist is in charge and to immediately speak up if something makes you uncomfortable. From Brito, I started treating Deshaun in early 2020 and have provided him massage therapy 3 to 5 times in all, the last time being in November 2020. He tells you what areas he wants worked on, usually groin, glutes, and abs, which is normal for athletes. I have always found him to be polite, respectful, professional, and absolutely non-aggressive. From Gwen, I first met Deshaun 3 years ago and have provided massages to him several times. He wanted to focus on stretching and deep tissue massage. He never asked for or even hinted at anything inappropriate. He was always polite and respectful. When I eventually realized who he was, I asked him to have his picture taken with me to give my son, who is a big fan. From Hillman, I worked with Deshaun to give him full body scrubs and body wraps. At no time did he act inappropriate with me. If he did, I would have talked with him and handled it with him. This list of comments from 18 different women who provided massage therapy to Watson stands in stark contrast to the allegations, of all of which have been made without names being named. The accounts represent, in our view, the first major step taken by Deshaun Watson and his lawyers to defend himself in the court of public opinion. Of course, it's possible that all 39 individuals, plus the woman who spoke to SI.com and has not sued, are telling the truth, and that Watson only acted inappropriately with the 19 who sued him. With 18 massage therapists putting their names on accounts of their positive experiences with Watson, attorney Tony Busby may feel compelled to provide something more substantial and more specific as it relates to his client. Again, this was from Pro Football Talk. Hey, go to find how you doing this evening. Now, what also was not brought out here is that Tony Busby was a neighbor of the Houston Texans owner, Mr. McNair. The original owner, Bob McNair, passed away, I believe, last year. And that has been left out of these events. So it looks like Deshaun Watson and his lawyers have had enough and wanted to state their facts as they see it. And I do believe that when the smoke clears, that this lawsuit is nothing more than a witch hunt during this Me Too era. And once again, the young 25-year-old Watson looks like the prey in this particular episode. And it's sad. And notice the timing of it. I just couldn't leave that alone. We know once he asked to be traded from the Houston Texans is when, ironically, his neighbor, Mr. Busby, decided to put forward these lawsuits with no names attached to these 21 ladies. Hey, I appreciate that, Jay Truth. And please feel free to subscribe, like, share, and subscribe this particular episode. That if I hear any more about the Deshaun Watson case, I will be all over it. but I am looking forward to see what happens next. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Uncle Claude signing out. Um, please like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Take care. God bless. Stay safe. And the truth will definitely come to light, ladies and gentlemen. Take care.